Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Best Day Ever podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Vendetti-Spahr, and in case you didn't know, today is the best day ever. Yesterday's gone, and we're not guaranteed tomorrow, so today is literally the best day ever because it's the only day you have. Today, I am so excited. I have a special guest. Her name is Sara Smiley, and Sara is a senior at Westchester University who is currently studying early education. Sara founded an organization at Westchester University called A Moment of Magic, and we're going to get all into the background and history and more about Sara's experience with the Moment of Magic all on this episode. Stay tuned. All right, guys. So today I've got a special guest. Her name is Sara Smiley. You can say hi to everyone.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to share my story with A-Mom with you guys.
Woo! All right. So we're going to start off every podcast with how I start them off. I always start off with the story of how we met because it's literally a miracle that people meet in a moment. Like, it's so random. And the story of how we met truly was so random. So I'll share, or do you want to, how about you share what you were doing that night?
Yeah. That night we were hosting what we call Royal Family Night. So it's where our general body members come together and we just play a whole bunch of bonding games and activities. We're usually very rowdy during those nights, which is where you came along and you were like, what is that noise? And I want to find out what's happening in there.
Yes, I was going into the Psych Student Union that night at Westchester on campus, and I was like heading out of the bathroom, and I run into these two girls. One of their names was Julia, and I was like just saying hi to them, and then I hear this like girls like yelling and like singing. I'm like, what is going on? And then they're like, oh my goodness, that is a Moment of Magic. You have to come check it out. And I've never heard of it before. And I was like, okay. And she like brings me along into this room, and you guys are like the most like excited, cheerfully people I've ever seen in one room at a time. And that's when I got to hear all about Moment of Magic. So before we even get into this episode, I want you guys to know what a Moment of Magic is. So Sara, do you want to give them a background of what a Moment of Magic is?
Of course. So A Moment of Magic is a nonprofit organization where college students visit medically vulnerable children in hospitals over Zoom. We got into a lot with that with COVID. And different community events where we are providing magic to children to brighten up their days. And we do that through really creative programming. And our most known thing that we're known for is that we dress as familiar fairy tale characters. So
love it.
Yeah. It's really, really special.
Yeah, it really is so special. I was watching a few videos before we hopped on the podcast, and I loved what someone said. They were saying how like children have to act like well, not act like they are patients, like they're patients, they're in hospitals, like they're so like vulnerable, they're in like that environment for so long, like almost some of them are even just living in the hospital, or I guess are most of them
are patients that stay long term into the hospitals. Sometimes they're outpatients, so they'll come in for appointments and stuff, but what we like to do is we like to give them a moment of relief that they actually are kids, because when they're in the hospital in that setting, they're going through things that they shouldn't have to go through as children, and it's where we get to bring that fun and playfulness back into their lives. Just give them that little moment.
It truly is. It is a moment of magic. Like, you allow them, you give them a space and an environment with your costumes and princesses and superheroes. You can give them that space to literally be a kid and to like be excited and like play and drink tea and like all the little things. It is truly so cool. So I want to know specifically with you how you got involved with the Moment of Magic and just the whole transition of bringing it onto campus and allowing other people to be transformed by their time serving.
So I grew up in Chicago, and I had a family friend who went to school in Western Michigan. So Bree and I have been close friends all throughout high school. And she went to Western Michigan, I went to Westchester, and we followed each other, you know, what we were up to and what we were doing through college and what our new experiences were. And I saw that she had joined a club called A Moment of Magic at Western Michigan, and she was a Disney princess. And I was like, Brie, how on earth are you doing this? Like, our families went to Disney together. So we were both huge Disney nerds. We were like, oh my gosh. So I was like, how are you a princess right now? She's Elena Valvalor. And I was like, I am so jealous. I want to do that. Like, tell me more about it. So she told me the backstory of A Moment of Magic, and I was just like starstruck. I was like, I need this at Westchester.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't it here? So I did my research. She and her family came out and visited us over New Year's Eve. And we talked about it more in depth than we had over social media and text message and stuff. And when she was telling me about it, she was like, you know, they are always trying to adopt new chapters. So there's different chapters at various colleges across the country. It's a newer national nonprofit organization. So they're always looking to grow and expand. And she was like, you should think about applying for a chapter. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's way too much work. I was like, I don't know if I could do the establishing part. I just really like to do the princess part of it. But I was like, I'm going to have to sleep on this. I'm going to have to think about it. And the very next morning we woke up and there was a text message from the national organization saying, we are specifically looking for chapters in New Jersey and Delaware. And I was like, okay, we're in Pennsylvania, but I am very familiar with Delaware and New Jersey. I lived in both of those states at different times in my childhood. And I was like, okay, I could definitely make this work. And it's kind of like a sign that I need to do this.
Yes.
So I thought about it for like another week. I was like, going back and forth, I'm like, this sounds like a lot of work. I don't know if I have it in me. I'm only a sophomore right now. But eventually I came to the decision that, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to apply and just see what happens. So I applied. I got a message back almost immediately, like not even an hour or 2 hours later, saying that sounds like Westchester would be the perfect fit in growing our family. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. So I went through the application process. I went on 2 different interviews.
Wow.
And the process was really, really intense. There were about 55 other applicants, and they were only accepting 5 chapters that year. So it was very, very lucky that Westchester was chosen for the next chapter. And so that was in January of 2020.
Okay. January 2020. Oh, wow. Right before the pandemic.
So I was like, awesome. There's so many hospitals in our area, and we're going to be able to, you know, bring so much life and light to our Philadelphia region. So I was like, okay, I know this is coming. I know we got the chapter and we're going to do great. I am going to work on all of the like official affiliation stuff with Westchester when I get back from spring break. Spring break comes and the pandemic hits, and now I'm like, what on earth did I get myself into?
Yeah.
Because now things are going to be looking very, very different, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with this organization.
Yeah.
So Westchester kind of like pushes me off to the side for right now, and they're like, we don't really know what's going on, so we're gonna have to wait with like establishing your chapter until things are more clear. So I moved ahead with just the national portion of the organization and was just going full steam ahead with them in hopes that when we came back for the fall that things would be cleared up and okay.
Yeah.
Again, that didn't end up happening, but we made it work. Our organization transitioned fully onto all online virtual platforms, which was super awesome. We did a ton of Facebook Live recordings. We did live streams into hospitals. We did Zoom calls, and they went very smoothly. It was great. And a great, like, trial run before getting into in-person, which eventually happened this past year. But that's kind of, like, how I learned about the organization and went through with it. It was a really fast thing that happened, and it was really lucky.
Wow.
It was special.
Yeah, it truly, I feel like when things just work out without a lot of, outside situations like COVID, it's just like when things work out, like it's almost like it's meant to be.
Oh, it was meant to be,
because of how smooth the process is. That is so cool that you were literally a sophomore, and how it's almost like you were meant to know about it.
Yeah.
Because obviously COVID was, like, going to happen no matter what.
It
but
was.
you didn't know that.
Yeah.
But it's just so interesting. I feel like almost how COVID has allowed people to, like, transition into new things. Like, you were able to start getting familiar with the local hospitals.
Yeah.
And it was almost like it opened up the door. Because they were probably, like, knowing there was, like, an organization that wanted to be part of that at that time was probably more of a gift to them than you even could imagine.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, we're a lot of hospitals, like, open to you.
They are starting to.
Okay.
They're starting to now. I actually have my first hospital visit next week.
Aww.
That is going to be a great send-off for me. Just to be like, cross that off the bucket list. That was something that, going into it, I was like, I can't wait to go into the hospitals and make that magic in those rooms. Is just, not that, the Zoom calls aren't special enough, because they are. And our community outdoor events are super great too, but being in the hospitals, I think, is going to be so, like, heartwarming.
Yeah. And what was it like, or what was your, like, method of just making awareness to other students? Like, was that hard?
So, because I was establishing the organization all while we were going through the pandemic, I really used social media to the best of my abilities. I became very familiar with different, like, social media apps like Canva, and designing all these different, like, advertisement things. And I joke about it too, that feel like I am running a business while I'm being going to school for education. Then I'm like, wow, I have these really two great things that I picked up just with AMOM. But yeah, I learned how to, advertise on social media and, like, broadcast what we're doing. I did a whole bunch of different, what's the word that I'm looking for? A whole bunch of just, like, interest meetings.
Okay.
Like, I held a whole bunch of meetings for people just to come and learn about what a moment of magic is, because it was hard to figure out what we are, and for people to see that we're more than just, like, a cosplay group. I think is what our biggest challenge was. Like, people were coming here and like, oh, okay, you dress up and just, like, have fun, and, like, it's so much more than that. Like, we're visiting children who need this magic. And while there are the fun aspects of dressing up and, putting on and portraying a different character, that's really a cool aspect of what our community service is. But it's a lot more to that. So I think breaking that barrier was kind of difficult to do just by seeing pictures of what we do on social media. So really holding those interest meetings and allowing people to find out what we did was super cool. But I got really familiar with Zoom too. I held so many Zoom meetings. It was crazy.
I'm sure. Well, looking at it from the outside, like someone who literally was just, like, hopping in on one of your nights. It is so cool hearing the story of how it was just 2 years ago, and in that 2 years was COVID. Like, you really have put in the work. Like, you put in your all. You dedicated your time and your energy into this, and it shows with just, like, even the energy of the people that are around you. It's like you should honestly be so proud of yourself.
Thank
you.
Because,
like, without your, like, energy and your, like, momentum to really create this, you wouldn't have that group of people. Like, it's like you, like, helped initiate for them to be excited and for them to, like, walk in the doors and know about the opportunity.
That's been my favorite memory of it all, is seeing how how awesome these girls have all connected with each other. It's such a great community. I mean, you walked in and all you heard was laughter and like smiles and and singing, and just all of the noise was just happiness. It was just pure happiness. And that's what I think is my favorite part of that, is that while we did go through some really like difficult times in establishing it, this, because of all that work, this is the result. And it shows that we are a really special group.
You really are.
On campus.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool even just to have caught a glimpse of it. And so once you started to get things rolling, what was the process for Westchester eventually? Did they just kind of have to like sign you off?
Yeah, I mean, the process is pretty simple actually for starting new organizations on campus. You only need to have about 10 members. Okay. And with our organization, we have 10 e-board members within itself, because we're so big and we have so many moving parts. Yeah. So the members part was pretty simple for me. You need to have a campus advisor. Okay. We were lucky enough to have really 2 special advisors that, I mean, signed on to our organization and were part of the establishment process, and have been with us ever since. We have to create bylaws that kind of like outline our rules and regulations as a club, and how we function. That was pretty laid out for Westchester. Like they had all of the things laid out, and you just had to like fill in your name and some information here and there, but it was pretty detailed, the document that they had us fill out. And then you had to share what the organization was to like a hearing of SGA, our Student Government Association. And they kind of just voted, yes, does this sound like a good like contribution to not a moment of magic, to Westchester University? And if it didn't coincide with any other organizations on campus, it was like a green light go. Okay. So once they did figure out that, next year, so when I came back in the fall, they were like, okay, we're going to be online. We will presume your organization to being online, and like here's how it will roll. Yeah. It was a difficult time.
I'm sure.
for them to figure out what to do with this, because it was just poor timing all around. But it worked out, and it was a pretty easy process, and we've been very fortunate with how Westchester has taken in a moment of magic. We've received 3 different leadership awards over the past 2 years.
That's so cool.
Literally just 2 days ago, we got Student Organization of the Year, and we got Community Service Award.
That's amazing.
It's so special.
Wow.
That, like,
congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big deal.
I know, it is a big deal. It was so special, and just great to know that like a moment of magic has a foot in the door at Westchester, and we're being recognized. And as young as our organization is, I just see us being so successful in the future. And
I want to ask you like all about your future visions and all that, but first I want to ask you, just with your whole process, like over the 2 years, what were some of the biggest moments that you have seen yourself just have to grow from, or what was like a challenge that you feel like you've had to overcome? Maybe it was even just within yourself, like feeling like, oh, do I have the momentum to put in all in?
That's definitely something I've learned through myself. It was all internal battles, I feel like, with how I wanted to be a leader and how I wanted to lead, because I knew I had 2 years of it. And I went through a lot of trial and errors with how, running, no one teaches you when you're doing, when you're like, okay, I'm going to start an organization and I'm going to be a part of something and I'm going to be a part of an executive board, how to, like, be the boss of people your age, which is so hard. And I was like, I want to be girlfriends with these girls, and but I want to get stuff done. And it's just finding that balance was really difficult at first. So I think trying to figure out how I wanted to lead, the executive board, and then how I wanted to lead the whole body of A Moment of Magic was hard within myself, trying to figure out what was going to be successful, what people were going to appreciate, and what people were going to respect too. Because while our organization is a lot different than other clubs on campuses, I didn't want it to feel like a job or a burden. I wanted it to be a fun environment. And I think I achieved that.
Yes, I would say you did.
I'd like to think that, like, that happened for me. Yeah. But it did take a while. It was hard at first to, you know, try and be that voice for people to listen and follow and respect. And it was difficult trying to find that ground. Because we're all college kids. We're all the same age, and it's hard to be like, listen to me, because I have to lead you in this activity, in this training, and you have to follow what I'm saying. And it's just, it was a weird dynamic to get used to. But I think I found that happy medium, and
that's great.
I've felt like, you know,
that's so
the
good.
leadership was great. And I'm excited for how things will continue.
Yeah, and I think this is so informative to anybody listening, just for what that process looked like. Yeah. And from firsthand experience within the last 2 years of literally starting up a chapter and knowing like the struggles and the challenges that do come. Yeah. But through your story,
it was all worth it.
Yeah, it was all worth it. Yeah. And just, it really is possible to find that medium, which is so cool. So I hope that's encouraging to anyone listening.
Seriously. And I was always like, I told you, and I told everyone here too, that when I saw and found out about the organization, I was like, I just want to do the princess part. Like, I just wanted to do the character visit part. I don't have what it takes to do the leadership part and the establishment part, but like, in order to get there, I had to put in the work, and it's been worth it. Yeah. I learned so much about myself throughout the process. You
literally proved yourself. Yeah. Like, no, I can do it. Yeah. Which is so cool. Yeah. And so, with that question I had earlier, so what is kind of like your vision or hopes? What would you like to see happen at Westchester University?
Yeah. So, I'd really like to see our chapter grow and become more diverse. I'd like to see more members come out. I'd love to see some male members. I'd love to see that happen within our chapter, because while we have a really great group of girls going right now, I mean, when we go on those visits, boy characters are just as much needed. Boy magic makers are just as much needed, because the community that we're serving is both boys and girls who are struggling and who are going through medical complications. And I'd really like to see some boys come check out A Moment of Magic. So
guys, if you're listening, or if you have a brother or a cousin, anyone coming to Westchester that is a male,
come check out A Moment of Magic. I mean, how cool would it be to be Spider-Man? I mean,
and, like, make a kid literally feel like he's with Peter Parker. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. So I'd really like to see that happen. I think that would bring our chapter more success. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Another question I have is, with the members that you have had the opportunity to lead with, like, have you, just through conversation, like, heard any testimonies of their own and, like, what, like, how their life has kind of transformed, or even just, like, a new perspective, or how their eyes have been opened, like, just being able to serve at the Moment of Magic and seeing, like, hands-on these children having their whole days transformed?
So many of our younger A Moment of Magic members, they have said that this was the one place in Westchester where they felt like home. And I think that was what was most touching for me to hear, is that this space within Westchester is where they felt like they could be themselves, and they could, you know, live out these childhood dreams. And that was something that, look, taking a step back as a senior now, this past couple of months, hearing, you know, them share these testimonies is where I've felt the most proud. Yeah. And knowing that the chapter is going to be so successful because they feel that way. Because in their freshman year, this is where they found their calling. Yeah. And that just tells me that they're going to be here for the next 4 years, making sure that everyone else that steps foot in a moment of magic
has that
feels that
heart
way.
attitude.
Yeah. Feels that way. Yeah.
That is so great.
Yeah.
Like, that really is touching. And I'm sure, I mean, I feel like it definitely is unfortunate just with the way that our college experience looked like and having to be online.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, I would love to get up and, like, I'd love to be Cinderella or Belle for a day. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming, I mean, it's the end of the school year, but I don't know what your plans are. Do you plan on continuing to lead after the summer, or are you going to kind of hand it off?
Yeah, so we had my last meeting last night. And it was our coronation. So coronation night is when we announce to our new characters who their role is.
Okay.
So we got 5 new characters last night.
Wow.
4 new characters
you had to
last
name them
night.
out.
Yeah. So we have Bo Peep from Toy Story.
Aww.
We have Black Widow from
Marvel.
Marvel.
Yeah.
We have Fawn. She's one of Tinkerbell's fairy friends.
Okay.
And then what a Moment of Magic is super cool about is they're trying to make the characters more diverse, because Disney could, up their game just a little bit with their diversity. So we have a figure skater who is someone that Nationals put this character together.
Yeah.
And she is going to be,
so
her name
cool.
is Cardi. So
love it.
That's our 4th character.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's so great to see that, our characters are growing too. Yep. It's nice to know that, that people are going to see representation on our visits. Because I said, that's something I'd like to see us grow on too. But I'm glad to see that there's going to be a great diverse group of characters out there.
Yes, and I'd love to just throw it out there. Maybe you have a better way of doing a little promo for A-Mom, but seriously, if anybody's listening and this is something you just want to check out or head into a little informational meeting to, do not hesitate. What's the Instagram?
Yeah, so our Instagram is A Moment of Magic WCU.
And what can they expect a helping role to be? Let's say they're not a character, but what's ways that people can help out?
That's a great question.
Even if it's just a one time.
Yeah, that's a great question. So being a character is a whole lot of responsibility. What we have within our organization is magic makers. So these are volunteers, college volunteers, who go on visits and help out to make the magic happen just as themselves. Okay. So that's a really cool aspect to our organization that we have, because if the character thing isn't for you, because it's not for everyone, but helping kids and serving the community is something that you like to do, being a magic maker is definitely something that we would love people to come out for too. I mean, there are, like I said, we have 10 different executive roles on our e-board, and they range from small tasks to huge tasks, to just being a helping hand on some committees. We really could use all of the help we can get just to making our organization the best that it can be.
For sure. That's awesome. So this is just such a great outlet, and for people who are incoming freshmen, it's a great truly a community to step into. Are you guys all close as members?
So close. Oh my goodness. We are planning something at least every other week outside of A-Mom settings. But another testimonial, Wednesdays, my personal testimonial, and many other testimonials from all of the other members, Wednesdays are our favorite nights of the week. So Wednesdays at 7:30 7:30 in Sykes, check out A Moment of Magic. Just pop in and see if the vibe is for you. But everyone, Wednesday nights are our favorite nights of the week, because we get to spend time together and we get to learn and grow together. So
that's great. That is awesome. Yeah. And one final memory, I would love to hear 2 highlights. One memory of being able to be a presence on, I guess most of your time it was online. So what was a moment that you had to encounter I guess one of the children for the first time, how their response was to it.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear just a highlight of your whole 2 years.
Yeah. So my first Zoom call, my character is Belle, if I hadn't said that out there yet, but I'm Belle. So my first Zoom call was with a little girl named Ashlyn who was turning 6. She was having a Belle-themed birthday party. So she was actually receiving some pretty intense treatment up in New York City. And that morning, the dose didn't go as well as it was expected, and she was in a lot of pain that day on the call. And it showed, and it was really touching and moving to know that I was able to provide just a glimpse of some light during that really tough day, because I was told ahead of time that she wasn't feeling great, but she was going to try and push through just because she really wanted this experience. All of her girlfriends were on the call. It was a really special hour-long visit that we spent, and I felt defeated towards the end of it because I was like, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm not making it as magical as she needs right now. So as a member in this organization, you're always going to feel like, am I doing enough? Am I making it as magical as they should and they deserve? Yeah. So I was feeling a little bit defeated towards the end of it because she was in a whole lot of pain, and it was sad and scary to see, but I couldn't let any of that show. Yeah. Because as you got all of this makeup and wig and costume on, I'm not Sarah, I'm Belle, and I have to put on this brave face. Yes. And when I got off the call, I remember just feeling like a whole bunch of weight on me, and I was like, I don't know if that was enough, if that was what she needed. Wow. And so I recorded a video of me just saying, thank you so much for letting me, sharing your birthday with me, and I can't wait for us to talk again soon. Aww. And I got a message back saying that, you have no idea how much that this made her week. And it was just so nice knowing that I was able to provide with her some light during this really tough time. And I found out that right after the call, they rushed back to the hospital, and because she was in so much pain, it was just so much emotion going through me that it was like, this is so special that I'm a part of this. And while I'm not in the hospitals, I'm providing so much for this family right now, and so much for myself too. Truly. So that was just a great way to start off my Belle career. Yeah. And every visit going forward had just that much magnitude. After every visit, I felt so many different emotions because what you're doing is absolutely amazing, and you're providing so much joy for the child themselves and the family, and everyone around you is just seeing how much uplifting you're doing. But then you're so exhausted from it because it's a lot to take in. Yeah. What are ways that after those moments that you feel like you kind of fill yourself up? Yeah. What do you kind of do to kind of not get down in that, because it's you truly you cannot question yourself. You are doing all that you are truly capable of doing. Yeah. Being in that moment, it's you're entering into a whole new environment, and it is, I can't even imagine what that experience is like. It's a lot to experience. Something that I started right after that visit is I started a journal, and I wrote down everything that I could remember from the visit, and I just truly tried to reflect on all of the positivity, on all of the things that went well in the visit, so that I could reflect back and be like, I did do this. Yeah. I made this happen. And I attached a little picture of, of the encounter. Yeah. And that's been a really great tool for me to reflect and, you know, remember everything that I have put in for. And that's been really special to now look back. And I'm sure I'll keep it forever and look back on it and be like, I can't believe that I spent 2 years of my college career doing this, and how special and how selfless of me to have done this. And it's memories I'll carry forever.
No, that is great. And I think journaling is also a great way to just document. It's your fresh thoughts. And how often is it, like monthly or weekly that you're doing these calls, or just kind of varies?
It kind of varies with, it's what's really nice about A Moment of Magic is we're flexible with your schedule. So you can be as active as you want. You could go on, you know, do a Facebook Live call every single day. You could go on an in-person visit once a month. You could really choose your own schedule, which is really nice. I pushed myself really hard to go on as many visits as possible, just because I'm trying to soak it all in. Because I didn't get as many in-person visits as I was expecting when I signed up for our chapter. But every single one has been truly magical.
Wow. That is great.
That
is so great. I would love the opportunity. I mean, we're both graduating. I
know.
But I'm like, maybe just down the road there'll be a moment for me to encounter the magic. I don't know what that would look like.
I love it.
But and then the question I had along with that is, like, just over the whole 2 years, you've recapped all of it. Like, what is just, like, maybe you're just, like, your overall takeaway, or, like, your overall, I guess, moment that you have seen yourself, well, not grow, because you did answer that, but just kind of, like, over the whole 2 years, like, what was, like, your highlight over the 2 years?
I think all the friendships.
Yeah, that's great.
I think, seriously, I know we've touched on this so much, but, like, our community is so tight-knit. I told you that there are a bunch of different chapters all across the country. I mean, even the friendships that I've created with other chapter presidents, it's been so nice to have an outlet with people who are so like-minded like me. And, you know, we're all in this amazing organization and doing this amazing work, and it's so nice to know that there's other people out there who are believing in the same things as you are. And I honestly think these friendships will last forever, and it's truly these girls in the club are truly, like, my best friends from college. So I think that's just the biggest takeaway, is that this club brings people together.
That is great. That is so good. Like, this was seriously so good. Like, everything that you've had to share was amazing, and it is so cool to just hear firsthand, like, your experience and the way that A Mama has, like, moved in your life, and how that literally transformed to just, like, an outpour of so many other people being able to, like, be impacted by it. I would just love to close by just hearing, so what's next for you, and, like, going through the experience of literally starting it, getting it running, getting the Instagram going, like, learning, like you said, this whole kind of business side. Has that kind of, like, shifted your idea of, like, like, your potential and, like, what you could do next?
Totally did. So I'm student teaching right now. I'm going to be graduating with education, but I am not going to start school right away. I am going to go to Disney and do the Disney College program.
No
so
way.
I'm continuing the magic.
Oh, my goodness.
So
that is going to be so fun.
I'm going to go there. I will be there from September to February, and I'm going to see, you know, where that takes me.
Wow.
I'm hoping to grow professionally in some other aspects that I picked up through A Moment of Magic, and see, you know, how I'm feeling after that. I really do want to teach, but like you said, I saw this potential in me that I didn't know was there before, and I would love to see if something down the line comes back up for me to continue. Some kind of nonprofit business. I don't know. I think this was just something that I didn't know was possible to do. now that I've done it, I don't want to stop doing it. I tell the girls who are going to be on the executive board next year and the president next year that I'm not just like going to like wash my hands off of this. Like, I'm going to stay as involved as possible because it's been a part of my life for the past 2 years. And
it really does hold a place in your heart.
It does. Yeah. So it will be something that I hope always exists at Westchester. I hope it never dies. I hope A Moment of Magic stays here forever. I hope it gets better with time. I mean, I think we set up a really awesome foundation these past 2 years, and I just hope that it flourishes into more than what it already is.
Yeah, that is so great.
Yeah.
That is all so great. I'm so excited for you. You're going to Disney.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is like such a magical
I was like,
place.
I'm not done making magic and still being a kid. I need to hold on to it just a little bit more.
For real, as you should.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this entire episode was so great, and I hope you guys listening right now have just gotten more insight on what AMOM is, and I hope you guys appreciated as much as I did Sara Smiley being on the show and sharing her story and her experiences. I know I've gained so much just from this episode, and I will 100% be a voice encouraging people to join the chapter. This was truly so great. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate everything, your time. This is awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you everyone for tuning in and listening. My last little spiel out here is that no matter where you are listening and tuning into this, check out A Moment of Magic. Maybe there's a chapter, close to you. Start up your own chapter like me. You truly never know where the magic will take you. So
great.
Yeah. Best
good.
of luck to everyone.
And if you guys want to give it a follow right now, go check out
A Moment of Magic, WCU.
On Instagram.
Yeah.
And if you guys want, you can also go check out Sara Smiley on Instagram. And I'm sure she'd be happy to help with any questions.
Any questions, seriously. I'd love to, inspire someone to follow in my footsteps.
Yeah.
Start something out like this. Yeah.
So great. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It's always so much fun. I hope you guys are having the best day ever. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Today is a gift. It's a miracle that you're here. It's a miracle that you're listening right now. Know you're loved. You're chosen. You have a purpose. And I'll catch you guys next week. See ya.